Hello everyone. I'm very glad to meet you again with one more lecture, and today's lecture will be on vocabulary learning strategies. Before going into the lecture, let me introduce myself. My name is Paul. I'm an assistant professor of English in the Department of English, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Dundigal, Hyderabad. So, by the end of this lecture, you will come to know various strategies to learn the words in an easy way. So, these strategies of learning vocabulary will help you uh, to use the words in an effective way. Secondly, uh, by using these strategies that we are going to discuss to learn the new words will help you to remember the words forever. So, that's why this is very important lecture to learn the words in an easy way. In other words, to learn the vocabulary in the second language. So, without wasting much time, let's jump into the lecture. So, structured this lecture into two parts, and the first part will be talking about the meaning of vocabulary learning. What is vocabulary learning? And the second part will be talking about the learning strategies of vocabulary. In other words, vocabulary learning strategies. When I say vocabulary, it means that I'm talking about second language learning vocabulary. Second language in India, um, English is called as the second language, and language one, or uh, so whatever the language that we speak, whatever the language that we get by birth is called native language or mother tongue. uh, it can also be called language 1 or L1. So L1 or mother tongue or native language, all are same. So my L1 is Telugu. I am trying to learn words in the second language. So everyone trying to learn the second language vocabulary. In other words, English vocabulary. So we'll be looking at vocabulary learning in the second language. So this lecture will help you how to learn the vocabulary of second language. In other words, a vocabulary of English. So let's move on to the meaning of the vocabulary learning. So, so if you look at the screen, you will come to know the meaning of vocabulary learning. So, what is it? Vocabulary learning in a second language. Second language is English for everyone who is studying in India. Right? So, vocabulary learning in a second language, or the second language can also be called as L2, language 2. Right? So, vocabulary learning in second language or L2 acquisition is the process by which people learn vocabulary in another language after the acquisition of the first language. Once you are comfortable with the mother tongue or your native language, you will try to learn or you will try to acquire the second language. You will try to acquire the vocabulary of English, which is considered as second language. Why should we worry about learning the second language? Because it is considered as a global language. That's why everyone tries to everyone tries to improve their second language skills. In other words, English language skills. So, vocabulary learning is learning new words of second language. When do you learn this second language or language two? Once you are comfortable with the native language, once you are comfortable with the mother tongue. No doubt you are comfortable with the mother tongue or the language that you speak. For example, my mother tongue is Telugu. I'm pretty comfortable with that. Now I'm trying to learn English, which is a second language for me. So, vocabulary learning is acquiring or learning new words in the second language or English, right? Now, what are the different strategies to learn vocabulary? So, what are different techniques to learn English words? What are various methods to learn new words? Right? So, what are the things that we should look at when you learn a new word? Because most of the time students, when they come across a new word, they simply refer the dictionary to get the meaning of that word. So once they come to know the meaning of the word, they think that there ends the job. Oh, I know the meaning of this word. But that learning the meaning of that word will not help you to use that word effectively in your day-to-day communication. There are so many things that you need to look for along with the meaning of a word. So you can see there on the slide that I mentioned 5 points to learn the new words in an effective way. Sorry, I mentioned 8 points here, um, which will help you to learn a new word in an effective way. So, if you look at these 8 points while learning a new word, no doubt this thing will help you to use that particular word for effective communication. And not only that, looking at all these 8 aspects of a new word will help you to remember that word forever. So, what are those 8 things that you should take care while learning a new word? See, first, you should look at the meaning of a word, then the form of that word, and the pronunciation of that particular word, appropriacy. We will see all those things, and then is it easily confused word, or is there any other word which is similar to the word that you are learning in, right? Using a word in an example, right? So how to use that particular word in an example so that you can use that word in real life communication also, right? And does it have UK US variant? Because nowadays world is dominated by two accents or two variants, which is either a British accent or an American accent, right? Now, you should also look at the negative, positive, or neutral connotation of that word. When you are learning a new word, you should look at 8 aspects of that new word so that these 8 aspects of that new word will help you to use that word effectively in your day-to-day communication. So, let's move on discussing about each aspect of the vocabulary learning strategies in detail. So, what is the first one under the vocabulary learning strategies? The first one is learn the meaning of a word. So, while learning a meaning of a new word, what are you uh, looking at? What would you take care of along with the meaning, right? So, learning the meaning of a word, while learning the meaning of a word, just read, read, read that word again and again and again and again, so that will help you to get the meaning of the word from the dictionary. If you read the meaning of a word from the dictionary again and again and again and again, that will help you to remember the meaning of that word forever, right? So to learn the meaning of a word, keep the dictionary, not only dictionary, keep the thesaurus with you. So thesaurus is a type of dictionary, but in thesaurus, uh, you will get number of words for a particular word. So all the related words grouped under a particular word. So if you take a word, for example, uh, the word content, so all the synonyms grouped under this content, and also all the antonyms grouped under this content. So if you refer the dictionary for the synonyms of the word content, you will find number of synonyms for the word content in thesaurus. And if you want to know antonyms for the word content, you will find number of antonyms for the word content in thesaurus. So, right, thesaurus is a treasure of words, and a number of synonyms given to a particular words along with the number of antonyms. That's why, so refer the dictionary to know the meaning, and also refers the thesaurus also. So thesaurus is an advanced way of searching for the meaning of various words, right? Build your own dictionary. So to learn the meaning of a particular word, just make your own dictionary. How? Keep a notebook with you. So whenever you come across a new word, research on that. Refer the dictionary or refer the thesaurus. So whatever you come across in the dictionary, note down those things in the notebook that you have, or whatever the synonyms that you come across for that word, note down them in your notebook. If you do like this, or if you note down all the things in a particular notebooks, right, one day that will become a dictionary to you, dictionary of words that you have learned. So make your own dictionary, right? Play games. Whenever you come across a new word, try to play certain games, so that those games will help you to remember the meaning of that word forever, right? Engage in conversation. So I'm talking about how to learn the meaning of a particular words in different ways. So when you come across a new word, first try to learn the words, learn the meaning of that word, right? How to get the meaning of that word? So read it again and again and again and again, and refer the dictionary, right, or a thesaurus, or build your own dictionary, or maintain your own notebook. And whenever you come across new words, note down all those new words along with the meaning in the notebook that you are maintaining. One day that notebook will become your dictionary, right? Play games, so that the games, the word that you learned will help you to remember forever. If you use the word in games, whatever the game, right, whatever the game that you get to your mind to learn the meaning of that particular word, right? Engage in a conversation. Try to use that word in your conversation. You need not worry about whether you are conversing in a right way or not, whether your sentences are right or wrong. Do not worry about the correctness of your conversation in the beginning of learning a new word. Just use that in your conversation. And moreover, you should not think about how others think about your language, right? So, next one is picturizing the meaning of a word in your mind. So, whenever you come across a new word, try to visualize that word in your brain. Picturize that word, the meaning of that word in your brain, right? And Next one is associating the meaning with the related thing. So if you come across a new word, just relate that new word with the pictures that you see in your day-to-day life. So connecting that word with the pictures that you see in your day-to-day life will help you to remember the meaning forever. So to learn the meaning of a word, so follow these things. There may be different ways. I'm not able to put all those ways here to learn the meaning of a word. I mentioned only a few here. So, the first strategy to learn the meaning of a word, just follow these ways. So, first strategy is to learn the meaning of a word, right? Now, second one is look at the form of that particular verb. What do you look at under the form of that particular word? So, one is what part of speech that word belong to. So, you come across a word called object. So, talk about the form, refer for the form of that word. Under the form of that word, look at the parts of speech of that word. What parts of speech that particular word belong to. If you refer the dictionary, now first you will see the word, and just beside that word, you will find the parts of speech of that word in brackets. For example, if you see the word uh, object in the dictionary, for example, object in the dictionary, first you will find the parts of speech in bracket, so right, verb, and after that you will find the pronunciation, whether it is British or American. First you will find British no, pronunciation, and then American, right? So when you look at the form of that word, just see the parts of speech of that word. That will help you to get the meaning clearly, right? Now see whether that word has any prefixes or suffixes, right? And the next one is see whether the word has any collocation. Collocation means certain words go with certain words. Because see, look at the meaning of the collocation. So collocation refers to a group of two or more words that usually go together, such as fast car, right? Fast food, quick response. We don't say quick foot, or we don't say quick car, whereas we say fast car. It means that these are, fast will always go with car or foot. These two are collocated words. Collocation means certain words will go with certain words. Those two words have a match fixing, right? So when you look at the form of a particular word, see whether that word has any collocation with any other word, right? And see uh, the L1 interference in the form of that word. Now, how do you understand that the meaning of that particular word in your mother tongue? And the next one, see whether it has singular and plural form also. For example, irregularities. If you take fish, that can be considered as singular, and the plural for that is also fish, right? And one fish or two fish. We should not say two fishes. So I'm talking about the form. When you are looking at the form of a particular word, just look at the parts of speech of that word, right? Whether that word has any prefix or suffix, or whether that word has any collocation with any other word, and look at the L1 interference in that particular word, and whether it has irregular plural or not. So you should look at all these things while learning about a particular new word. So all these things will come under form. So learning the form of the word will help you to use that word accurately in your communication, right? What else? come under the form, whether it is countable or uncountable or both. So coffee can be considered as countable and uncountable, right? So next one, whether the particular word is used as a compound word or single noun. If it is used in a compound word, whether the compound word is a closed compound or hyphenated compound or open compound. Just you are researching about that particular, it won't take much time. But if you learn the word like this, right, you'll be able to use that word accurately. Accurate means no one will find fault in your communication. No one will find fault in using that particular word. So look at the uh, compound, whether that particular word has is used as a compound word. If that particular word used as a compound word, just see whether it is used as a hyphenated compound word, like heavy seat hyphen in between the word, right? Or closed compound, like weekend. It's a closed compound, week and end. And open compound, space between two words, shoe and shop. It's a compound word but open compound. So uh, and one more thing, look at the homonyms, like bank. It has two meaning, same uh, spelling, same pronunciation, but you can use the same word with a different meaning, right? So bank, right? Bank. So I'm talking about the form of a word. You should know various things under the form of a word, right? So you have seen under the form of the word, you are looking at the parts of speech. You are looking at whether that particular word has prefix or suffix, or whether that word has any collocations with any other word. So look at A to Z about that particular word, right? Next, so look at whether that word has any homonyms, means same spelling, same pronunciation, but used in with different meaning, right? Bank, so river bank, and the other meaning for bank is where the money transaction takes. So homonyms, right? Same spelling, same pronunciation, but used in different meaning in different contexts. And homophones, right? Same pronunciation but different in spelling and different in meaning also. And homographs, written same, right? But meaning is different. So just when you are looking at the form of a word, just see whether that word has any homonyms or homophones or homograph. So this will give a clear clarity on the word that you are learning. So under the strategies of vocabulary learning, the first one we have looked at is the meaning of the word, and the second one is the form of the word, and the third one under the uh, vocabulary learning strategies is pronunciation. So this has become a big issue to all the non-native speakers or speakers like me and the speakers of India, right? So, when you are learning a new word, along with the meaning and form, you should also look at the pronunciation of that particular word. What do you look under the pronunciation of that particular word? First, the funny thing about English is spelling and pronunciation do not go hand in hand. There is no relationship between the spelling and pronunciation. That's why English is called unphonetic language. Unphonetic language means no relationship between spelling and pronunciation. That's why you must be careful of a pronunciation of a particular word, right? So while learning about a particular word, you should learn the meaning of that word, you should learn the form of that word, and you should also learn the pronunciation of that word. Under the pronunciation, what are the things that you must take care? One is sound versus spelling. So if you go by the spelling of SACHET, you may mispronounce, right? I heard many engineering students pronounce it as sachet because they go by the spelling. If you go by the spelling, you'll make a mistake, right? As I told you, there is no one-to-one relation between the spelling and the pronunciation. That's why English is an unphonetic language, right? So, if you go by the spelling of SACHET, you will pronounce it as sachet. But if you refer the dictionary for the correct spelling or pronunciation, you will find it as sachet, right? Right? You might have seen many sachets, right? Shampoos are available in small sachets. So it is pronounced as sachets. But if you go by the spelling, you will pronounce it as sachet, which is a wrong pronunciation. So that's why while learning of a new word, you must learn the pronunciation also of that particular word. So under the pronunciation, you should think about sound and spelling. So if you look at the another word COUP, you will pronounce it as coop, but there is no word like coop in the dictionary. But this is pronounced as coo, no pa sound at the end. So spelling doesn't match with the pronunciation. That's why it is unphonetic. English is unphonetic language, right? And PLUMBR, plumber. But you might have heard people saying plumber, right? Bomb, right? Comb, right? So because as second language learners, we always go by the spelling. But if you go by the spelling, you will make many pronunciation mistakes. That's why while learning a new word in English, you should also learn about the pronunciation of that particular word. So here the spelling is PLUMBER, but the pronunciation of that word is plumber. No ba, no or at the end. Plumber. SUITE. Sweet. CHARISMA. Charisma. So, uh, third strategy of learning a new word is pronunciation. Under the pronunciation, you must look at certain points. One is sound versus spelling. So sound is different from spelling. This is not always correct, but most of the cases, sound is different from the spelling, right? Now, word stress. Second one that you should take care under the pronunciation is word stress. So uh, if you look at the word content, if you stress the first syllable, it functions as a noun, content, or an adjective. But the same word, if you stress the second syllable ta, then that becomes a verb, content, content. So there are monosyllabic words, disyllabic words, and polysyllabic words, right? So that's why you must take care of the stress of that particular word that you are learning, right? In the same way, if you look at the word object, if you stress the first syllable, then that becomes object, which is a noun. But the same word, if you stress the second syllable, object, it functions as a verb. So you must learn about the uh, stress of that particular new word that you are learning too. While learning about the pronunciation of that particular word, you should think about sound and spelling of that word, and you should think about the stress of that word, where to stress that particular word, right? Whether that word has any weak form or strong form, when to say weak form and when to say strong form. For example, if you take the word the, it has both strong and weak form. It can be said as or the or the. Th is a weak form, The also weak form. The is a strong form, right? An, strong. When you use that in a communication, sometimes you can say an clearly, but sometimes in the connected speech it can be right said like it's a weak, right? It has both the forms, weak and strong form. So while learning about the pronunciation of particular word, just see whether that particular word has strong and weak forms, right? OF has both strong and weak form. You should know where to use strong form and where to use weak form. Of is a strong form, whereas is weak. Mm. Oh, strong, weak. I'm talking about OF. Him is a strong form, im is a weak form. Generally, in connected speech, we tend to use weak forms, right? Whatever your is a strong form, but your is a weak form. Have, strong form, ow, is weak form. Will is strong form, ill is weak form. So you should know whether that particular word has strong form or weak form. If it has both form, just you must be aware of the both strong and weak form about the word that you are learning too. And what is the next aspect that you should look at under the pronunciation of a new word? Change in the plural, right? For example, see how to say if that particular new word used in as singular. For example, woman, women, singular, women, plural, right? You should know how to say that particular word in singular and plural. If that word has plural, you should know how to say that word in plural. So foot, singular, feet, plural, man, singular, men. So my point is here, when you are learning a new word, you should learn the pronunciation of that particular word. Under the pronunciation of that particular word, you should look at sound and spelling, right? Stress of that word, whether that word has a weak form or strong form, and how does the pronunciation changes if it is used in singular or in plural. Now, changes as a result of a word type. For example, what are the changes that these word takes if you change the stress that we have seen? See, if you stress the first word on record, that functions as a noun, but if you shift the stress onto the second syllable, that functions as a verb. Record is a noun, record is a verb, right? Content is a noun or adjective, content is a verb. So you should know how the word changes the meaning by shifting the stress from one syllable to another syllable. So these are the things that you must take care while learning the pronunciation of a particular word that you are learning, right? So we are looking at vocabulary learning strategies. As I told you, we have been discussing 8 strategies. Under these 8 strategies, we've looked at 3 strategies. What are those 3 strategies? The first one is the meaning, right? While learning a new word, you should learn the meaning of that particular word. So while learning the meaning of the particular word, what are the things that you must take care? We have seen. And the second one, the form. What are the things that you must take care while learning the form of a new word? And third one is the pronunciation. You should also learn the pronunciation of the new word that you are learning. So under the pronunciation, these are the things that you must take care. And the next fourth strategies under the vocabulary learning strategies, appropriacy. What is appropriacy here? I mentioned here the meaning of the appropriacy. It means the extent to which a word, a phrase, or grammatical pattern is correct or suitable to a particular context or social situation. When you are using a particular word, when you are learning a particular word, you should know in what social context that particular word should be used. You should not use whatever the word that you are learning to in all the contexts that you come across. No, there are particular words that you should use in an only particular context. You might be knowing formal and informal English, right? So you should, when it comes to appropriacy of that particular word, you should know whether that word is used in formal context or in a colloquial language or in a slang. Formal context means, a formal language means a language which is used for professional communication or business communication. The language that you use in the at the workplace, the language that you use to the teacher, the language that you use to your manager, the language that you use to your higher official is called formal language, right? You should not use whichever the language that you are comfortable with while conversing with the manager, right? So, when you are learning a new word, you must know when to use that particular word, right? So, that's why you should look at the appropriacy of that particular word. See, I've given a small, picture here. What are other words for appropriacy? What is appropriacy? I've explained the meaning of appropriacy in 2 sentences, but if you look at the synonyms for the appropriacy, you will come to know what is an appropriacy, right? Convenience or decorum, adequacy, decency, right? Propriety, aptness means suitability, right? Fitness, expediency, advisability, or felicity. In other words, appropriacy means suitability. um, Whether that particular word is suitable to use in this context. For example, you are talking to your principal, right? And you learn a new word, and you should know whether that word is suitable to use in the conversation with the principal or not. So look at the slang. So the slang is, a type of informal language, the language that we use with our friends, the language that we use with the community that we are living in, the language that we use with our relatives. See, we don't, use hi-fi or polite language with our friends, right? We don't use polite words with our friends. We use all type of slang words, impolite or informal words, right? So for example, you might have heard in Hollywood movies dude, and you might have heard your friends calling you as dude, right? It's an informal word, and the formal word for that is guy, right? And see, croak is a slang word. As these slang words, a language is particular to a particular, related to a particular community or particular reason, right? Particular social group. So if you look at the slang words I mentioned, you will come to know, right? Airhead is a slang word, and the general word that is here, dumb person. Cushy, comfortably easy. Kicks, shoes. Eyeball, right? Look at or look over. Dynamite, right? Rocking is an informal or slang word, right? Swag, right? A slang word means swagger, self-confidence. Hot, it's a slang word, right? You should not use that word in the formal context, right? Hot means attractive. So you can say you look very attractive, but you should not say you look hot today. It gives totally uh, a negative meaning, right? So hot is a slang word. Idiot box is a slang word, and the uh, formal word for this television set, right? Kickback is a slang word. So slang words or informal word words which doesn't have politeness in them. So you should not use the slang words in your professional communication, right? So while learning a new word, you should know in what context you're supposed to use that particular word. For example, but is an informal word, but whereas however is formal word, right? So you should know when to use the formal words and when to use the informal words. You should look at the context, right? So while learning a new word, you should also learn where to, in what context you're supposed to use that particular word, right? Whether that particular word suitable to use in the formal context or not. You should research on that, right? So that's why you must take care of the slang words, right? And the other one is no, I given more explanation for the slang here. Slang is very informal language, as I told you. We usually use slang in speaking rather than in writing, right? We don't use slang expressions in writing. We use them only for oral communication, that too with a particular community or friends or relatives, right? Slang normally refers to a particular words and meaning, but can include longer expressions, and all the idioms generally come under slang. We don't use idioms in the professional communication, right? But there are certain idioms which can be used in the professional communication also. But most of the times, idioms are used in the informal context, and idioms also come under slang expressions, right? And the other one is colloquialism. What is colloquialism? So, uh, colloquialism sometimes referred to collectively as colloquial language. What is this colloquial language? Colloquial language is a phrase that is common in everyday communication, unconstrained conversation rather than informal or academic. Colloquial language and slang expression more or less same. Colloquial language or colloquialism or slang language both are come under informal language, or we cannot use the slang or colloquial language in the professional communication, right? So we do not use the slang or colloquial language in the formal or professional communication or business communication, or even in the academic writing or business writing. You should not use slang expressions in business email or business correspondence. So look at the colloquial words here: yeah, wanna, gonna. So if you are asked a question in the interview, you should not say, yeah, I'm pretty much comfortable with. Yeah is a colloquial expression which should not be used in the professional communication or professional written correspondence. So, while learning a new word, you should also think about whether that word is used in the formal context, or whether that word belongs to a slang, or is it a colloquial word. If it is a colloquial or slang expression, use that in the informal context. If you are aware about the word, then you should be able to use that word in appropriate context. So, while learning a new word, you should also learn the appropriacy of that particular word. Under the appropriacy of that particular word, you should know whether that word belongs to a formal language or slang or colloquial language. Now, the fifth, I mentioned some, idioms which come under colloquial language. See, hard to swallow is a colloquial language. It's an idiom which come under colloquialism, which means difficult to believe, right? Now, kick the bucket, to say that to die. Kick the bucket is an informal expression, a colloquial expression to say that to die, right? Stir up honest nest means provoke a strong negative reaction. Up for grabs, available to anyone, knee-jerk reaction, head over heels, to say that he's head over heels means he is in love. Just in love, the meaning of the colloquial idiom head over heels. Elbow grease is an idiom, comes under colloquial to say that hard work. The meaning of elbow grease is hard work. So, when you are learning a new word, you should know the appropriacy of that word. In other words, you should know where to use that particular word. So, next one is easily confused words. So, while learning a new word, you should think about whether there are any other words which confuse along with this word, right? For example, look at the word under the easily confused words, affect and effect, which looks similar, but pronunciation is different and the meaning also different. So you must be careful about the easily confused words while learning new words, right? While learning a new word, you should think about whether any other word which is very much similar to this word or close to this word. So think about that and get those words so that you will avoid confusion in using that particular word. For example, look at the word affect and effect. For the meaning of affect is influence, and moreover it's a verb. Affect is a verb which means influence, whereas effect is a noun meaning result. And look at the sentence. While the student didn't see how studying affected his test taking, the positive effects soon became clear. So I'm talking about the easily confused words. While learning a new word, you should think about whether there are any other words which are close to this word. In other words, whether there are any other word which confuses with this word. If there are, then get them and try to find out uh, the meaning of that word, the parts of speech of that word, and the pronunciation of that word, and the sentences of that word, right? And see, look at the other easily confused words. Lie, lay. Lie is a verb which means recline or rest on a surface. So after the college, I lie down on the bed to relax myself. Whereas lay is a verb which meaning of that is to put or place. Lay this, lay your bag on the table. Lay it on the table. Put something on something, right? So Kim lies down to take a nap every day at 3:30 p.m. Before falling asleep, Kim lays her bracelet on the table. I lay this pen on the table, right? So these two, lie and lay, look similar. Sometimes both confuse in the meaning, especially. So if you are learning the word lie, try to find out the word which is similar to this word and try to get the meaning of those words and to see how those two words are used, right? Now, loss and lose, right? Loss is a verb which means misplace. I lost my bag. Lose is an adjective meaning slack, mobile, weak. I'm talking about the fifth strategy of vocabulary learning, which is easily confused words. And the sixth one, right? Using a word in an exam. Once you come to know the meaning of that particular word that you are learning, uh, uh, the form of that word and the pronunciation of that word, once you know all these things, then try to use the word in simple sentences. Use them in simple sentence. So look at the word then and then. So both look similar, but no, these two have different meaning, right? If you come across such words, just use them in sentence after getting the meaning, right? Then is a conjunction used to compare two things, whereas then, then is usually an adverb indicating time, right? So THEAN and THEN both look similar, but both have different meaning. So then is a conjunction which is used to compare, whereas then is usually an adverb to talk about the time. I'm use them in sentences, right? Now that and which. So if you, after learning the meaning of the word that and which, you'll come to know the difference between these two, and the difference will make you use them in an effective way, right? So uh, that is the sixth one, and you should also know the meaning of these three words so that you can use them in the examples. TO2, TOO2, and TWO. All the three look similar, but each one has got a specific meaning. TO2 is a preposition indicating direction, whereas TOO is an adverb meaning in addition or also. And TW2 is a number. So my point here is to tell you to learn the words by using in a simple sentence. This is the sixth strategy of vocabulary learning. And the seventh strategy under the vocabulary learning is whether that particular word has UK or US variant, because the entire world English is dominated by the either British accent or an American accent, UK, United Kingdom accent, or US, United States accent. That's why while learning a new word, you should see how that word is used in UK English and how that particular word used in US English. So while looking at the UK US variant, look at three things. One is, what is the spelling of that particular word in UK, and what is the spelling of that same word in US. I mentioned few examples for spelling, right? For example, honor in British English we write it HONOUR, but the same word in US is written as HONOR. We US spelling misses U here. So there is a spelling difference between UK and US. So you must aware of the U spelling of US UK variants, right? So in the British English, uh, the spelling for color is COLOUR, whereas the same word in US it is written COLOR. And for the next word, behavior, in the British English we write it BEHAVOVIOUR, whereas in America we write it in a BEHAVIOR. And theater, British spelling is THEATRE, whereas American spelling for that is THEATER. Here THEATRE is the British spelling and THEATER American spelling. So you must know the spelling of UK and US variant. If I write UK spelling in the Microsoft systems, that will show wrong, because they all the laptops or desktop use American spellings. Of course, you can choose these spellings whether American or Australian or British, right? The Indians are pretty comfortable with the British spelling and British words, because we were ruled by the Britishers for more than 200 years. But that's why we write British spelling, right? So while looking at the UK US variants, first look at the spelling differences between US and UK uh, words. And the second one is pronunciation. You should also learn the pronunciation of US and UK, because there are pronunciation differences also between these two accents. For example, if you look at the word DIRECTOR, it is pronounced as director in British English, whereas in an American accent it is pronounced as director, right? And finance, right? In British English it is pronounced as finance, whereas in American accent it is pronounced as finance. And the schedule, in British accent it is pronounced as schedule, whereas in American accent it is pronounced as schedule. So you must know the pronunciation differences between these two variants. What are those two variants? UK and US variants. So along with the spelling and the pronunciation, you should also look at the different words used for same meaning in UK and US. For example, see, in the British English, we know that underground is used for the tunnel, right? Whereas in this American accent, in American English, the same word is used as subway. Underground and subway both mean same, but Americans say it as subway, whereas Britishers say it as an underground. And the same way, American English or British English, we say it is chemist. Chemist means. Whereas the same word in US accent, US equivalent for that is druggist, right? And for the druggist, UK equivalent word for that is chemist. And Q in British accent, and line is an American word, right? In British English, we call it timetable, whereas for the American word for the timetable is schedule. Schedule and timetable both are same, but American use schedule for timetable and Britishers use timetable for schedule, but meaning is same. So under the UK and US variant, you should know the spelling of that particular word that you are learning to, and the pronunciation of that word, and also the same word that exists in both accents. So this is the seventh strategy of learning vocabulary. And eighth one is very important: negative, positive, neutral, con. When you are learning a new word, you should know whether that word has positive connotation or negative connotation or neutral connotation. For example, see, um, arrogant, self-assured, and confident. All these three words have same meaning. There is no difference in meaning. But the same word can be used, positively or negatively or in neutral context. If you say, Mr. Nog is confident, that shows you are talking positive thing about Nog. But if you say Nog is self-assured, that is also neutral. But if you say Nog is arrogant, you are talking about the negative attitude of Mr. Nog. Now, look at the third word here. Aroma is a positive. I get a wonderful aroma now. So I use that. Aroma means a type of smell which, right, gives a pleasant feeling, right? And scent is a neutral word. Many of us use scents, right? On our body scents or uh, whereas the same word uh, used in the negative context. What is the word with the same meaning used in the negative context? Stench. I get a stenching smell here means unbearable, right? Meaning is same. Stench, scent, aroma. The meaning is same. But aroma is used in a positive connotation, whereas scent is used in the neutral connotation, whereas stench is used in negative connotations. Right? If you look at the picture here, juvenile, adolescent, youth, right? Juvenile, adolescent, and youth. Youth is a positive word to talk about the teenagers, right? He's majority of youth do not listen to their parent. Youth talks about the teenage, right? Youth is used in a positive sense, whereas adolescent is used in the neuter sense, right? Whereas juvenile also talk about the same teenage group but used in a negative sense. If youth committed for a crime, they will be sent to the juvenile home, juvenile prisons. So juvenile also talks about the same age, teenaged people. But this juvenile is used in the negative connotations, right? And see one more word here, infatuated or infatuation is used in the positive connotation, right? And the negative, neutral connotation for that is highly interested, right? So and so person is infatuated with a particular thing, means lot of interest in that, right? The same word has, right, another word with a similar meaning is highly interested, which is used in the neutral connotation. But if you say obsessed, which gives negative meaning, right? Obsessed, if you say so and so person is obsessed with so and so thing, you are talking about a negative thing of that particular person, right? Right. So look at the one more word here, experienced, senior, and old. All the three words have same meaning, but experience, if you say Mr. Prasad is experienced person, it means you are talking about his greatness in getting more knowledge through with vast experience, right? And you can say senior citizen people, neutral connotation. Whereas if you say old people, it's a type of insult to the people. It's the word old is used in the negative connotation, right? So for example, see skinny, thin, fit. All the three words give same meaning, but fit. If you see a lean person, you can say he is fit. Now, I mean talking about that person, physical built of that person in a positive sense. And you can say thin, so and so person, so and so girl is thin. You are talking about the physical personality of that person in a positive sense or neutral sense. But if you say that so and so person is skinny, no, you are using that word in a negative. So if you use these words in your communication, these words may affect the other, right? You're talking about the negative things of the other, but the meaning is same. Fit, thin, skinny, meaning is same, but the word that you're using talks about the respect that you have on the other word. So while learning a new word, you must think about the connotation of that word, whether it is that particular used in the particular word used in a positive context or neutral context or negative context, right? So this a particular word has these three meanings, three usages. So you must be careful in using the word that you are learning in a appropriate context. So far we have seen 8 strategies of vocabulary learning. So in the beginning of my lecture, I talked about the meaning of vocabulary learning, and then we looked at 8 strategies to learn the vocabulary. And in the first one, under this vocabulary learning strategy, the first one is learning the meaning. So under the learning meaning, what are the things that we discuss, or what are the things that we must take care while learning the meaning? So these are the things that you must take care of while learning the meaning of the word, and these things will help you to learn the word of meaning of a word in an effective way. And the second strategy is the form. Under the form of a particular word that you are learning to, you should look at the parts of speech, whether that word has a prefix or suffix, collocation, L1 interference, right? Irregularities in plural, countable, or all these things come under form. So you must learn the form of that word. Under the form of the word, you must think about all these things, right? And the third strategy is the pronunciation. You must learn the pronunciation of that particular word. Under this pronunciation, you must look at this sound and spelling, whether both are same or different. If both are different, then uh, how they are different, learn them. Word stress, whether that word has weak and strong form, how does it change in plural and singular, right? Now, the fourth point on the vocabulary learning strategies is the appropriacy, whether that word is used in a formal context or whether that word belongs to a slang or colloquial. So, if you're learning a form meaning of a slang or a colloquial word, do not use those words in the formal context. So, you should know where to use that particular word appropriately, right? Now, fifth point is easily confused words. If there are any other similar words that you are learning, so if yes, then find out all those similar words and try to learn the meaning and use them in the sentence. So use the words in a sentence and then look at the UK US variants also. So these are the different strategies to learn the vocabulary. If you follow these 8 strategies to learn while learning a new word, you will definitely use that word in an effective way. Not only effective way, you can use that word for accurate communication. And not only that, these 8 strategies to will help you to remember that word uh, in your mind forever. So hope I given you enough idea on vocabulary learning strategies, and I believe you will follow these strategies to learn the new words. So thank you very much. Meet you with one more lecture soon.
Like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.